time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, a Wednesday episode of The Oil Stream, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. It is Nielsen and Gazzola, Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. 12 locations, 7 of them smack dab in the Edmonton area. Obviously, drive through, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash, get your hands on that delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich. A couple of conspirators here from the Nielsen Show draft today, Tommy. People did not like the fact that we came together on a trade in the automobile draft earlier this morning.
That was a fun draft. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I was like, all right, you asked me to do it. I'm like, this could go a bunch of different ways. And then you made a proposal to me last night, and I thought about it. And when I found out I got the first pick, Dusty, I'm like, I know what I'm taking the Ecto 1. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, Eric likes to go a little bit off the wall. I don't think he would take Ecto 1, even though him and I are around the same age. And then Yaremchuk probably has no clue what that is, and he proved that obviously today. So I made the deal with you, and I got some of the vehicles that I kind of wanted, and I was able at the end to swoop in on a technicality, the devil's in the details, and get the true Ecto 1, because Yaremchuk, being young and not so sure what is the Ecto 1 and what is the Ecto 1A, took the 1A, which is clearly from Ghostbusters 2. It is not the original Ecto 1. And I was able to swoop in the last pick and get the Ecto 1. Doesn't matter. I'm getting killed in this draft anyway. I still think I had a great draft. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm running away with it because I got the DeLorean first overall. I think that was the big difference maker. But yeah, if it's a fun hour of radio, if you want to go back and find it, just find the Nielsen Show podcast, hour number 4. It was absolutely terrific. It was good. We've got lots to get today. We're going to be launching a new feature and a new sponsor in a second. We're going to take a look at some of this time off here for the Oilers. Kulikov trade, blue line depth, McDavid and Drai settled together. Tommy, you were at the rink today. Anything noteworthy coming out of practice today?
Still no Nugent Hopkins with the main group. We heard yesterday that he skated with or by himself, or I'm assuming with Slater Cuckoo before the main group. So at least he's back on the ice. I haven't heard or caught wind from the availability today because I scooted back to the rink or from the rink home to do oil streams. So I haven't heard yet if he was back on the ice prior to the main group, but he wasn't with the main group. Lots of 5-on-5 work being done today, Dusty. And nothing in terms of changes when it comes to lines from what I gathered when I was there today.
You know, if it's just one practice, but just on that topic of 5-on-5 work, that really is where this group needs to get going, right? Like their power play is top 3 right now. I think it's 3rd in the National Hockey League after a slow start. So that's going again right now. You know, I think defensively, as long as you got Mike Smith continue to play the way he is between the pipes, if you can just generate a little more offense, 5-on-5, I think you're going to actually be a pretty tough team to knock off.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, Dusty? Gregor, he crunches the numbers. He loves doing that, and he's good at it.
Yes, he does.
Yes, and like their 5-on-5 numbers have improved this year. It's the goals against 5-on-5 that's really hurting them. And but you're right. Like getting the offense going 5-on-5 would be great. Overall, 5-on-5 if it would be better. And the depth scoring has been there this year too, and that's something that Gregory hit on as well. But overall, 5-on-5, I think it's taken a step in the right direction, but it's not elite by any means. So they worked on it today, and that's a good thing. Let's see if it proves positive when they get into action this weekend, whether it be Friday or Saturday.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that here in a second. Actually, let's get to that right now, Friday or Saturday. I mean, it looks like it's supposed to be Friday, but are the Canucks going to be ready, Tommy?
I don't know, and that kind of leads into the question of the day. If that's where we want to go there
right now, let's go there. Yeah, let's do it right now. Let's go there right now. It's a brand new feature, and a huge thanks to Ken Morrison with Remax Excellence for coming on board. He's going to be sponsoring our Oil Stream question of the day, brought to you by the Ken Morrison Remax team. And Tommy, you know Ken, right? You kind of brought him on board here. Tell me a little about this guy. Seems like a really nice guy who kind of has his hands in everything from what I've kind of put together just dealing with him a bit.
Well, I mean, he just bought the Brian Kelly record-breaking touchdown ball from 1986, I think it was, where he set the record for Eskimos TDs. I think it was at 80. And he's that kind of guy. He's a huge sports fan. He's been in and around the city for a long time. He's got the Ken Morrison Spray Park in Spruce Grove, and he sponsors the indoor soccer facility. Really good dude indeed. And it's great to have him on. I know he's a fan of yours, and he listens to the pre and post game show on TSN 1260. So it makes sense. He wanted to get involved somehow, and this is a good way to do it. And if you're looking for a new place, Ken's a great real estate agent that can help you out. And he's easy to deal with and a good sports guy too. Oh, by the way, he was Dwayne Mandrusiak's like errand boy in the early 80s for the Eskimos when they were still called that. Now the Double E football team. Lots of pictures of him in like those overly tight polos and shorty shorts.
Yes,
cool,
that's what I'm talking about. I wonder if he would have worked with Jamie McLennan, because Noodles worked around the stadium with Dwayne as well.
Maybe he might have
some crossover there.
Him and Noodles are about the same age.
Yeah, so maybe there was a little bit of crossover there. That's good. Well, thank you very much to Ken. You check out his website, kenrmorrison.com. If you want it, you can give him a call. If you're looking to list a place, or you're looking for a new place, 780-993-4815 is where you can track him down there as well. And we haven't sent a lot of people to realtors in the past, so go tell them, say, hey, Dusty and Tommy said I should sell my house with you, man. Let's make that happen. Yeah, Ken Morrison, your local realtor, and it is the question of the day for Ken Morrison. Tommy, you got it today. And the way we set up the question of the day now moving forward here on the Oil Stream is you're going to come up with a question on Wednesday. I'm going to come up with it on Friday, and the other one of us is not going to know. So we kind of just can give us, not a lot of time to come up with something. So, okay, what's the question of the day, buddy?
Question of the day. And speaking of the Canucks, and we're seeing them get back to action and on the ice, is it fair for the NHL to make them play this Friday if they're going to be shorthanded? That's my question to you.
It's garbage. I don't even need to think about this. Like, how is a league? Can you? And I know, the Denver Broncos had to play without a quarterback, and there's been these situations in COVID where it hasn't been ideal. But how can you be a league that preaches player safety all the time? It's always about the player safety, player safety, player safety. And then jam these schedules in for Montreal and Vancouver because their seasons have been derailed to the point where it's absolutely ludicrous. You can't tell me that players from Montreal and Vancouver aren't going to get banged up along the way here more so than they would on a regular schedule. And then on top of that, this team's not even going to really have full practices before being forced to play a game that doesn't need to be jammed in on Friday. So this is an easy question of the day. I mean, I hope they get more difficult along the way, Tommy. It is not fair, in my opinion, and I know there might be some Oilers fans who are, make it happen. The Oilers can take advantage of it, which I'm sure they will if they actually have a chance to play this game. But to me, it just doesn't seem right that you're forcing this team back as quickly as they are. Like, are we taking this thing seriously, or are you just pretending that you're taking this thing seriously?
Okay, and I'm going to preface my answer with this. This is a very, very hesitant yes from me. And I know Oilers fans are probably like, yeah, I mean, let's play Vancouver after they were missing 2 weeks of action because of a nasty COVID situation. And I say this because there's precedent already. A number of American teams went through COVID protocol and they had to deal with a scenario very similar to this. The Dallas Stars went through COVID at the start of the year, and then they had that crazy snowstorm, and they wound up playing something like 40 games in an 85-day period because of it, or going to. Yes, now Montreal, who went through a week of COVID and only had one practice the night before taking on the Oilers and spanking Edmonton because Edmonton was that bad. So, and then you bring up the Denver Broncos. If the NFL is the creme de la creme and the league that every other league looks up to, the big brother to the other three major sports leagues, they did that to Denver and forced them to play a wide receiver who played college quarterback, who got absolutely destroyed in that game. Now, all of a sudden, you're like, it's a shitty situation. It shouldn't happen. But because there's all these instances of it happening in different leagues, in this league in particular, a very reluctant and hesitant shrugging of the shoulders. Yeah, from me.
Now, I'm going to kind of twist this a little bit because you make some good points, but the question was, is it fair? I'm saying no, and I don't think it was fair for any of these teams. Like, I know where you're coming from. Like, I just think you're forcing these teams back into situations where you're just putting them in harm's way even more. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So you're right. They've done it. There's a precedent there. That's why this is probably being forced to go ahead the way it is. But I still just don't think it's fair to any of these teams that have been, like, for the National Hockey League to do what they're doing to some of these teams' schedules is Bush League. It's just Bush League. And I don't know why. And what is it? The end of the playoffs have to end by the beginning of the Olympics. Here's your breaking news. Colorado, Washington are going to sweep their way through this bad boy anyway. You're going to get your playoffs done in more than enough time. I just don't like how they're forcing these players to play games like they would have never before. I understand the situation, but you're not taking player safety seriously enough, even from the COVID perspective and now from this perspective, which is just silly to me. So, but you make a good point that other teams have had to do it, though.
One thing on the getting the season done by that certain point in the summer because of the Olympics, this is what's been on my mind a little bit, and I'm curious to know what you think. With the NHL on NBC basically going to be over at the end of the season because the NBC deal is done. NBC Sports is going to be toast. Like that will not exist after this calendar year. Why wouldn't you, if you're the NHL, say, you know what, screw it. We're going to do what's right. Give our teams and the players enough time so it's safe for everybody. And we will take an extra week or two to get it done right. If this is not our long-term broadcast partner in the United States anymore, and it's clearly not. The deals have been done with ESPN and whatever other deal they're going to do to bring in another TV deal. I mean, like, why not just say, sorry, NBC, like, this is, if we're not a priority, you're not even going to have this station and network anymore, NBC Sports Network anymore, at the end of this calendar year. We need to do what's right for our players and our league. We're going to need that extra time. If you need to punt us to digital, fuck it. Like, fine. We're just going to put it on NHL Network every game that we can. Something like that.
Just find a way. You're right. The relationship's done. The station won't even exist anymore. You want eyes on your Stanley Cup, but in the long run, is it actually going to make that much of a difference for you when the relationship is over anyway? It's frustrating. It's so frustrating that I think you dropped the first F-bomb in the history of the oil stream right there, Tommy.
Did I?
Unbelievable.
No, you have, haven't you?
You filthy mouth bastard. I swear. I think that was the first time. I think that was the first one. All right, so there you go. That was a really fired up question of the day. That's your question of the day on Wednesdays and Fridays right here, brought to you by Ken Morrison, Remax Excellence. Visit his website, www.kenrmorrison.com. My question Friday. We'll see how it goes. All right, Tommy. Side question right here. I'm not wearing a hat today because I like what I got going on with my hair right now. Like, I don't think it looks that bad.
Very nice.
I told people to come watch to see who has the better hair today, me or you. Now, I think my answer would still be you, but am I close today, Gazzola? Like, what do you think? Like, it's nothing too fancy, but it's nice and tight.
It's neat and tidy. Mine's just Tino Vaselino'd up. So kudos. I'll give you the win on this one today, just like the draft. Everything's turning up Nielsen today. This is a glorious, glorious Wednesday. All right, Kulikov trade, Tommy. They give up a conditional pick next year. If they win around this year, the fourth becomes a third. I didn't love it, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was an okay deal. Where do you come out on it? It's okay. Like, it serves a purpose, and they think it'll meet a need. And now all of a sudden, you're not relying on two young up-and-comers on the left side of your blue line to prove themselves. And like, listen, Jones and Lagesson are just establishing themselves at the NHL level, and neither one of them has taken the bull by the horns and run with this thing. So now you bring in a guy who's been in the league for almost a decade now, and he's steady. He's not going to wow you by any means, but if he can be reliable and eat up some important minutes and that eases the burden from Barry and Nurse, then okay. Like, you can throw him out there for 15 to 20 every night and think, all right, we're going to be just fine. Then that's good. I mean, it just bolsters it. I know it's not the home run that a lot of Oiler fans wanted, but it's a decent little move.
What's this blue line look like moving forward with Kulikov now in place? How do you think this thing sorts it out when we get to night one of the playoffs, let's say?
I thought he would be with Larson right away and just let those two veterans kind of be a shutdown pairing for you. But, I floated that to Gregor, and he's like, are you out of your mind? He plays better with a puck mover. And then that automatically makes you think of Ethan Bear. But I still think you put Kulikov with Larson and have that constant pairing, and then give the leftover minutes to Bear and Russell or whoever and go that way. Like if you have two reliable pairs, your top two D pairs, and it's Kulikov, Larson, Barrie, and Nurse, then good. I feel more at ease going forward with that. And I'm not so worried about, I think we generally, and this is everybody across the hockey universe, overblow the term puck moving defenseman. You ask any defenseman in the National Hockey League what kind of defenseman he is, the first thing he's going to say to you is, I'm a puck moving defenseman. Everybody thinks they're a puck moving defenseman. So I think that's overblown a little bit.
Baldy1820 on Twitter says, Bouchard needs to play. Tommy, Bouchard ain't playing right now, is he?
He's not going to play. Yeah, it's too bad. I'd like to see him play just for the sake of him progressing a little bit. Maybe if they get this locked up and they know that they're playing Winnipeg in a couple of games from now, maybe they sneak him into a few games. But I'm not disagreeing with Bouchard needs to play. I think he does, but I get it. It's a crappy situation, and it's part of COVID and what this year has presented to everyone, especially teams in the North Division.
The blue line thing is interesting, though, because I mean, it doesn't matter what has happened in the past. It doesn't matter if he uses a Subban. It doesn't matter what I say, you say, or anybody else says. It really matters what Dave Tippett does. And with the way Dave Tippett has handled his blue line this year, it's not like Russell and Larson has one designated puck mover on that pair, right? Like I know, Chris Russell, some of the underlying numbers may say he can do it a little bit. I think in the Russell goal song, it said controlled zone exits were one of the reasons that the Pohos signed him up for 4 more seasons, Tommy. So, I mean, it's there. But like I think you have to read into how those pairs are right now. I mean, it's not like they're running Jones with Larson and you're just going to throw Kulikov in with Bear right now. I know Low Tide loves the idea of Jones and Larson together and then Kulikov with Bear, but if you base it on what Dave Tippett's done so far, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the early looks here are, in fact, Kulikov and Larson.
Yeah. I mean, you can't take away experience and veteran presence, even though, you might look at the numbers and be like, geez, he doesn't really do much. But you stack up a vet going into the playoffs compared to a relative rookie or, young pro. And you go, geez, these two still haven't really figured it out yet. They're getting there. Slow and steady wins the race. But we've got this guy who's been around. He's been decent. That's who's going to win out most of the time, and that's that vet.
Tommy, McDavid and Draisaitl together at practice with Jesse Puljujarvi on the wing right now. They were together against Ottawa, and I think we all thought, put them together against Ottawa, crush the Sens again, build up those point totals. And then he did go away from it. Before that game was over, he'd gone back to it, and now together again, even without Nugent Hopkins there, it's still McDavid and Draisaitl together. The Ottawa thing is one thing. Are you surprised that this experiment, if you want to call it that, or this strategy is continuing for Dave Tippett right now?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I get why he's doing it. Just you stack up that one line and you have a couple of monsters coming at you, and like it's intimidating. And if they can run roughshod over teams, game over, good night, Irene. And if that is the key to success right now in Dave Tippett's mind, especially against teams that are in a jam like the Vancouver Canucks, then yeah, okay, go all in and take advantage and let those two try to absolutely run the show. And I'm curious to see if and when the Canucks and Oilers play on Friday, if that's the same trio in the top line that we see the next night in Winnipeg, or if we do actually see them split up again. That's where I'm curious to see Dave Tippett play it out. But, with them playing together more consistently, maybe it makes it easy to slide between the two scenarios, split them up, put them together. It doesn't feel disconnected. I don't know if that's a way to look at it. But we'll see. Maybe he seems to stack them up against the teams that have struggled in the division. So we'll see if it works out, if it holds up.
Well, and that's why this strategy is interesting to me, because you're not going to play Calgary or Vancouver or Ottawa in the playoffs. If you're going to have success in the playoffs, you're going to probably have to go through Winnipeg and one of Montreal and Toronto, or either way, you got to go through two of those teams if you're going to have success. And it seems like there might not be a willingness to have them together against that group. So like, at what point do you have to commit to what you're going to do in the playoffs, Tommy? Or is this something that could be there in the playoffs? Is that what maybe they're trying to do right now?
Yeah, and that might be part of it, or he could switch it up at times. Like we've seen him switch things up on the fly. And the other thing too, I'll reiterate, like these guys play together 5-on-5 in games regularly already. Like after a penalty kill, they generally go out there on the power play. They're out there for almost 2 minutes at a time anyway, and so it's just I think of it more as a tweak in game as opposed to just like it's cut and dry. And in cement and set in stone the way he goes about it when he has these lines. It seems like it's always fluid, and depending on the scenario in the game, he switches it up anyway. So just the familiarity is there. He continues to build it, and I don't know. I think the strategy will probably change depending on how things go in the postseason.
Very interested to see how this thing plays out for Dave Tippett and the Oilers the rest of the way. That's going to do it for a Wednesday episode of the Oil Stream. If you've been watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast so you can watch it, listen to it conveniently as you're out and about with your daily routine. You can check out the Oil Stream, brought to you by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, and a huge thank you to Ken Morrison from Remax for hopping on board as well with our question of the day. You're going to have that moving forward here as we push away through the playoffs and into the off season. Tommy, thanks for the first overall pick in the draft, and thanks for saying I got the better hair today, buddy. It really means a lot, and it's a nice way to get me through the rest of the week.
Well done. You earned it, pal.
For Tom Gazzola, I am Dustin Nielsen. Thank you very much for watching another edition of the Oil Stream. We'll be back on Friday.